Blog Talk Radio.
Something's gone wrong. For all our vigilance and battle-scarred up to the right, we let the flame of freedom's torch grow cold. Because there can be no torch to pass where there's no flame.
Freedom has only one enemy it cannot defeat, and that is negligence. So your presence here, now, today, is an act of reverence. Of all man's works beneath the heavens, none shines brighter than our Constitution. I think Jefferson and Paine, Adams, Madison, Mason, Franklin, I think they're looking down right now at us. I think they understand what we're trying to do, what we strive to do. Every time our country stands in the path of danger, an instinct seems to summon her finest first, those who truly understand her. When freedom shivers in the cold shadow of true peril, it's always the patriots who first hear the call. When loss of liberty is looming, as it is now, the siren sounds first in the hearts of freedom's vanguard.
Good evening, everybody. Joe Joseph here, along with my cohorts in crime, John King and A.C. Griffith. Guys, what a show we have tonight. You know, we've got all these rumors abound, and I think it's time that we set the record straight, put people on the right path, and do what we have to do to get the ball rolling here. And one of our very special guest folks tonight is Dr. Waterman. Dr. Waterman, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Outstanding. You're on. You are live. Ha ha.
All right.
Now, folks, before we get started, because this is we're going to try and cram as much information into these 2 hours as we possibly can. I want to make sure, can everybody hear everything okay? Because I know that in the past we've had a lot of problems, and we're trying very hard to work our way through it, so just bear with us. Griff, 82nd Airborne, you know? I think people made this out to be a lot more than it should have been. And let me just say this, too, because, and this is in defense, of course, to people on YouTube like Andrew and everybody else. You know, when somebody puts out a disclaimer that says, look, this hasn't been verified yet, then, you know, it's important to understand that and to do the digging necessary in order to find the truth. But there is something to be gleaned from all this, and I'm going to try to make this as easy as possible for people to understand that even when a rumor gets cast, and you know that when somebody says something to somebody else and they say, hello, you know, John wore a plaid shirt today, and it gets passed on down the line and down the line and down the line, and pretty soon John had held up the grocery store across the street and shot his neighbor in the head. You know, and that's the thing, is that we have to understand that these things simply have to be verified. And but in the process of verification, you end up getting some interesting information. And here's a little something that I found out, and I thought this was interesting. Last night, after I heard about the 82nd Airborne, I contacted John Moore, who is an expert in anti-terrorism, and also he was a Green Beret, so he's very well versed in this type of stuff. And I talked to him about it, and he said, Joe, you know, if this is the case, if this is what's going on, let me just say this. First of all, an 18-hour standby isn't typical. Normally it's 24. He says, but that's, you know, neither here nor there. He said that the typical size of an 82nd Airborne Battalion is 600 men or women. Now, of those 600 men and women, you have to account for, they're not all combat personnel. You have support personnel, people that in a firefight, they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if they wanted to. So you take that portion, and then you say to yourself, well, how many people can actually turn a gun on one of their own? So you take out that portion, and what you have left is a drop in the bucket. And he said, but I'll take it a step further. He says, what I'll do is you can take every combat personnel that's in this country right now, and you can put them in a stadium, and that stadium will have thousands of seats left in it when all's said and done, because there just aren't that many combat personnel left in this country. They're all deployed. So just things to keep in mind the next time you see it. And also, Griff, I think you told me that this is a relatively routine thing for the 82nd and the 101st to do, is it not?
Yes, the title of the program has been around many years, and it is not uncommon to have drills like this. Now, of course, once you put men on the street, you can do anything with them. The purpose can change. We know that. But logistically, I just think it would be a hard thing to pull off. Over the last many years, there have been what was called urban warfare maneuvers in America. Every city, every major city in the United States has experienced live deployment of military. On the East Coast, they have been out of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. The 24th MEU has been utilized in those exercises. They've been going on for about 10 years now, where military people have dropped out of helicopters in yards and in cities and downtown areas. Richmond, Virginia, where I'm located, has had more than 2 or 3 of these exercises. The last one, the helicopters landed on the lawn of the University of Richmond and deployed, and they triangulated and exercised all over central Virginia, but mainly in Richmond. They have used live ammunition in many cities. They have been tossed out of cities for lying to the mayor and to the local governments. Charlotte, North Carolina, not too terribly far in your state, Joe. Mm-hmm. They were thrown out of Charlotte for using live ammunition and going against everything they promised the mayor and the city governments. But I think I've looked into that, the urban warfare maneuvers, and I think they were not triangulating, but they were mapping the cities using the RFMP system that I've talked about, using the chemtrail aerosol, because you remember I told you again and again that was the original purpose for the aerosols.
Right.
It is an electronic, high-tech way of doing a warfare maneuver over land terrain, and they're still doing it. So all of the cities in America are mapped with the coordinates, with the locations in the computers, and they're ready to go. But there is little indication that that's what the 82nd, 101st would be used for. It would be a lot of other units, not those 2 units, and the Navy would be involved, and it would be a big thing. But we don't have enough evidence, as you know, Joe. There's not enough evidence, and what evidence we do have kind of goes against using those military people against the American people and against cities. That's not saying they won't do it, but it's not enough evidence for us to think that we should really put that on our worry list. There are plenty of other things to think about that get in the way of our preparation, for our survival preparation, food, water, shelter, all of the other trappings, electricity, so on and so on. That's what we should be focusing on right now, and don't let anything distract you. Joe?
No, I totally agree. Now, Doc, you've come on tonight, and I really do appreciate it. Folks, just so you know, starting this Thursday evening at 10 p.m. Eastern, Dr. Waterman is going to be following our Thursday night show with his own show here on the Intel Hub Radio Network. And it's great to have him, because you want to talk about a guy that just knows his stuff. and is such an invaluable resource to this community. It's Dr. Waterman. So, Doc, we were talking last night about some of the research you've been doing pertaining to the webbot and the Mayan prophecies. I guess there's no better time to start explaining it than now.
Thanks for the compliment too, Joe.
Hey, no sweat.
And I just want to say I'm really happy to be coming on to the network starting next Thursday, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm real anxious to talk with the listeners and get to know them, and I really think that it's going to be a interesting time, and I think that we've got a lot to talk about, and maybe I can throw my 2 cents in, and maybe one person out there will, get some help from it. So that's what it's about. So hi guys, hi Griff, how you doing?
Hello there, Dr. Waterman. Nice to hear your voice again.
I'm going to make sure that my volume's up as high as it can go. There we go. All right. Well, tonight we're going to be doing a big overview, kind of getting the big picture on things and trying to figure out how all these dots connect. So, the question then is, what does the immediate, future hold? Really, who knows? Like we were talking prior to the show yesterday, or yesterday anyway. We really don't know that somebody's going to be murdered until after they're murdered. Prior to that, we can have all kinds of signs, like a gun to your head. Yeah, that's a good one. You've been just kidnapped out on a parking lot, and you're in a van, and they've got a knife to your throat. That's a pretty good sign you're going to be dead, maybe. You know what I mean? We're seeing some signs. Who knows what the result is? But we generally can tell from the direction things are going what their intentions are, and these can be kind of mapped. Or we might want to examine this and look at it from a whole nother perspective. Was it foreseen even before the time we are in? And so that's kind of what I've been doing, is correlating lots of this information and resources that we have, and it just fell into place and became this picture. And hey, I'm ready to talk about it. And you're right, there's a lot. So I guess we just start in the middle, don't we?
That's always a good place to start, right in the middle. That's it. Right in the thick of things. That's perfect. That's the way my audience rolls, Doc.
All right. Well, I think we have some interesting validations of data that's coming across a lot of these folks' desks that are listening, and some of those include sources like showing events, and some of them are Mayan calendars, and we don't want to forget the Aztec calendar because we're going to talk about that tonight. We have the webbot, we have biblical prophecy, we have ancient extra biblical manuscripts. Meaning outside biblical manuscripts. And so we have a lot of things, but guess what? They're dovetailing together, and it is kind of ominous. And we can see that in the near future, there is a shared event or a milestone that's right around the corner. Right around the corner being November this year. So that's kind of soon. Well, we can start, though, and a lot of people, we kind of kicked this around a little bit. I got an email, I was talking about it earlier, and I got an email that these ancient calendars is actually calling them a schedule, that it's not actually a calendar. But either way, it's a schedule of events, and they do have some milestones, and these event milestones are actually connected to what we would call our calendar. We go by, November, December, and so forth. And we can start talking about this ancient calendar, and I think we've got to probably give just a brief history of some of the three main ones. Now, we have others, but the ones I'm going to be kind of talking about tonight are in Mexico. We have others. We have the Egyptian pyramid, the Great Pyramids and so forth. But the 3 pyramids that are on note in Mexico are the Chichen Itza one in Yucatan,